Today is Friday, February 14th. We're talking about a mass exodus of federal employees. Thousands of Americans are leaving their government jobs because of either a buyout, mass layoff, or revolt. Also, senators confirmed a controversial outsider who's now poised to reshape public health and healthcare in the U.S., as they consider another who could shake up education. Plus, the latest path of an extreme coast-to-coast storm, a new development for TikTok, and a busy weekend preview complete with sports, entertainment, and 2 holidays. Those stories and even more news to know coming up.
Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this.
A longtime medical freedom advocate who has been questioning the medical establishment for decades is now in charge of the nation's health system. The U.S. Senate confirmed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as Health and Human Services Secretary in what was almost a party line vote. Every Democrat voted against him, along with former GOP leader Mitch McConnell. Every other Republican voted in his favor. As we've mentioned before, members of the GOP and other RFK Jr. supporters have praised him as a disruptor willing to fight on behalf of parents and children. But critics, including doctors, medical researchers, and members of his own family, have warned he's dangerous. Either way, Kennedy was quickly sworn into office. And with that, he's in charge of a sprawling agency with more than 100 programs, including the FDA, NIH, CDC, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and more. Already, President Trump signed an executive order creating a Make America Healthy Again commission, which RFK Jr. will lead. Senators are still deciding on another one of President Trump's controversial nominees. Linda McMahon was picked to lead the Department of Education, even though her experience is more in business than education. But Trump has said many times, even as recently as yesterday, that he wants to close the department immediately. So, of course, during her confirmation hearing yesterday, a lot of senators' questions were about that. McMahon did agree that to shut down the education department, it would take more than an executive order from the president. Congress would have to take action. But she also said it was the right idea to, as she put it, return education to the states. As for the money Congress has already approved for the department, McMahon said she wanted to reorganize the funding. For example, she said special education programs should be funded through the Department of Health and Human Services. Even before a new secretary is confirmed, President Trump's education department has cut $900 million in contracts and cut jobs. A federal judge decided to greenlight the unprecedented government buyout program. And with that, the White House closed the offer to any new applicants. About 77,000 federal employees accepted it before it ended. Remember, the Trump administration offered to pay workers' salaries until September 30th without requiring them to work if they voluntarily stepped down. Unions warned the offer was not trustworthy and sued, but a judge ruled against them, ending the challenge for now. The buyout is actually just one of many approaches President Trump is taking to slash the federal workforce that he says is too bloated and wasteful. Thousands of workers were fired yesterday. They were mostly employees hired in the last year who haven't seen their civil service protection kick in yet. The exact number wasn't clear, but it's possible hundreds of thousands of workers are affected, and even more layoffs are expected to come soon. Other federal employees are actually quitting their jobs in protest, hoping to send a message. And that includes officials in the Treasury, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and now in the Justice Department. Manhattan's top federal prosecutor and 5 high-ranking DOJ officials quit yesterday as they refused to drop corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. The prosecutor says she's confident the mayor committed the crimes that he's accused of and more. But President Trump moved to drop the case in what the prosecutor called a quid pro quo, only acting in exchange for a guarantee the mayor helps with Trump's immigration crackdown. In response, the U.S. Deputy Attorney General accepted the resignations and said there's no need for attorneys who don't follow through on the president's priorities. He also said his office would take over the Adams case and dismiss it, leaving the mayor free to campaign for re-election. TikTok is back on the app stores. Apple and Google are once again letting new users download the app after getting assurances from the Trump administration. They got a letter from Attorney General Pam Bondi that confirmed the TikTok ban won't be enforced right away. Remember, the app went dark for just about a day last month to comply with the federal ban that Congress passed. Then it came back online when President Trump signed an executive order in support of TikTok. But new users still could not get it until Apple and Google made the call to add it back to their app stores. Granted, there's still no guarantee the app will survive in the U.S. in the long run. President Trump and his inner circle have said they're confident they'll find an American buyer for TikTok, which would make it legal under the new law. But the app's Chinese parent company ByteDance still insists TikTok is not for sale. So, to be continued. We have more news for you still ahead, but first, thanks to our sponsor, Bombas. My feet are almost always cold. It doesn't matter if it's freezing outside or not. So I've tried my fair share of socks to keep my cold feet warm. And let me tell you, no socks even come close to comparing to Bombas. And I'm talking across all categories: fit, feel, function, and fashion. And thankfully, I now have a bunch of different styles of my Bombas socks, and I love them all. The thickness of the sock is exactly what I need for each function of each type of sock. And I so appreciate that there's no annoying toe seam, and my Bombas socks never slip down or slide around. Plus, I adore that Bombas gives back. Yeah, for every item you purchase, Bombas will donate another item to someone facing homelessness. Really, they've donated over 150 million items thanks to purchases like yours. And while it's unlikely, if for some reason you are not a fan of what you get, Bombas has a 100% happiness guarantee that covers free exchanges and returns. So try Bombas now. Head over to bombas.com/newsworthy and use the code newsworthy for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/newsworthy with the code newsworthy at checkout. Now back to the news. For the second time already this year, people in Southern California were ordered out of their homes. This time it was for heavy rain and debris flows in the same areas recovering from wildfires. Many rock slides and mudslides were reported yesterday, and some people did get hurt. The same system brought snow farther north. In the Portland, Oregon area, dozens of cars and trucks driving through whiteout conditions were involved in a pileup. Other crashes were reported across Oregon, Washington, and California. And now the system is moving east to parts of the country still dealing with the remnants of the last winter storm that also caused hundreds of crashes. The latest one is expected to reach the upper Midwest tonight, and then the Northeast by tomorrow morning, bringing a wintry mix of snow, ice, and freezing rain across thousands of miles. The Great Lakes and Northeast could get the most snow from this one, with up to 2 feet falling in some places. President Trump has once again promised to shake up global trade. In a new executive order, he told top economic officials to plan for reciprocal tariffs on every country taxing U.S. imports. In other words, if any country charges higher tariffs on American goods than the U.S. does on theirs, Trump wants to change that. The president says it's all in the name of fairness. But even he warned prices could go up because of this decision, at least for a little while. To be clear, this new order doesn't actually impose the new tariffs yet. Instead, it kicks off what could be months of investigation. And many see it as just a way of opening talks with other countries. In fact, a White House official already said Trump would gladly lower tariffs if other countries lowered theirs. As we told you earlier this week, Trump already announced tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports from all countries. He says he's also looking into separate tariffs on cars, semiconductors, and pharmaceuticals. Stay tuned. Nissan and Honda are ditching their plans for a merger that would have made them one of the world's largest car companies. Still, the Japanese car makers said they would keep collaborating as they work to catch up in the electric vehicle market. With the deal scrapped, Nissan is now going in another direction with restructuring plans. It will be cutting 6,500 jobs at company factories in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Thailand. It also plans to cut global vehicle production by 1 million. And both companies say they could have to make more changes if some of President Trump's tariffs move forward, like possibly moving production. More than 1 million Igloo coolers are now recalled over a serious safety concern. Specifically, we're talking about the 90-quart flip and toe rolling coolers. The problem is the toe handle can pinch people's fingertips badly. There have been a dozen reports of injuries, including amputations. The coolers were sold at Costco, Target, Amazon, and elsewhere all around the country. So if you have one at home, Igloo says you should stop using it and contact them for a free replacement handle. We have more information about the recall, including model numbers, posted in today's episode notes. Well, there's a lot going on this weekend. For starters, today, of course, is Valentine's Day. So it's time to celebrate all kinds of love. Restaurants like Subway and Shake Shack have buy one, get one promos going today. Dave & Buster's is another example. They have a date nights duo deal. And all weekend, Papa John's and Pizza Hut are selling heart-shaped pizzas. Plus, dinner could come with a free show in the sky if you live in one of 6 states. There's a minor solar geomagnetic storm happening. And if the conditions are right, the northern lights could be seen in Alaska, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and possibly even further south. It is also NBA All-Star Weekend on TNT. Tonight is the All-Star Celebrity Game, featuring popular singers, streamers, and pro athletes who typically play other sports. Tomorrow, it's the Skills Challenge, three-point contest, and slam dunk contest. And Sunday, it's the big All-Star Game, featuring some of the biggest names in the league, like LeBron James, Steph Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Anthony Edwards. And finally, Saturday Night Live is celebrating its 50th anniversary this weekend. Tonight, it's SNL 50, the homecoming concert, streaming live on Peacock. Tomorrow, NBC and Peacock will play the show's first ever episode from 1975. And then Sunday, there's the live 3-hour SNL 50, the anniversary special. A bunch of old cast members are coming back for it. Think Adam Sandler, Chevy Chase, Eddie Murphy, Kristen Wiig, and Will Ferrell, as well as celebrity guests like Tom Hanks, Woody Harrelson, Paul McCartney, Robert De Niro, and so on. And we're not done yet. Monday is then President's Day. This one is a federal holiday, so that means government offices will be closed and services like the U.S. Postal Service will not be operating. If you're one of the people who gets the day off from work or even school, enjoy the 3-day weekend. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, I want to talk about our sponsor, Lumi. When I have a special event coming up or even a date with my husband for this Valentine's Day, I want to present myself in the best way possible. So before I even think about clothes or makeup, I put on Lumi deodorant. I know Lumi works to keep me fresh and confident. In fact, Lumi is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. And I appreciate that Lumi products are paraben-free and safe to use anywhere. That's why I can feel good using Lumi, not just for special occasions or important meetings, but just every day. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers, too. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. So use code NEWSWORTHY for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code NEWSWORTHY at LumiDeodorant.com. Please support our show and let them know we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Lumi. Now back to Feel Good Friday. A high school basketball player is being celebrated for his quick actions on the court that saved another teenager's life. In the middle of a game, a player on the opposing team collapsed and went into cardiac arrest. That's when 18-year-old Magnus Miller quickly jumped into action. He's a trained lifeguard, so he knew what to do. He used an automated defibrillator and led the staff in performing CPR until paramedics arrived. The injured player was rushed to the hospital, but since then, he's been discharged and is expected to be okay. And the 2 student athletes say they're now forever bonded and will continue to stay in touch. At a fundraiser game recently, Miller was honored alongside coaches, Good Samaritans, and first responders. They say they hope this story will raise more awareness about the importance of learning CPR and first aid. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with our special edition Saturday episode all about the latest in love, from dating trends and the role of technology to keeping long-term relationships going strong. Then we're off for President's Day on Monday, so join us again Tuesday for the next Daily News Roundup. For now, thanks so much for listening and have a great weekend.